Hey guys, let's talk about annotating our sources. This is an awesome step in our research, and I'm fully aware that I'm a gigantic dork when it comes to research and writing, so you don't have to necessarily agree with me. Whether or not you find it awesome, it is an essential part of our research process and an essential step in our journey to that final paper. So we talked a little bit in our announcements, there's a video in there about how annotations are awesome and what exactly they are. So if you have any questions, I strongly encourage you to review that video or reach out to me. I'll be happy to break it down and we can have a conversation about it. So what is this assignment? Essentially what we're doing is looking at the credibility of our sources. We are going to be doing what we call the CRAP test. We are going to be strongly kind of critically analyzing our sources. So how do we get to it? Well, first of all, we have to find our sources, right? We want to select sources from the opposing viewpoints database or the academic search ultimate database. Those are databases provided by our amazing library, the Shapiro Library, and they're free for you to use. If you are struggling finding good, relevant sources in those databases, reach out to me. I might be able to give you approval to find an alternative database to use. Okay, but they need to be academic sources found through these databases. At least one of our sources, we need 3, at least one of our sources need to present a counter argument. And what a counter argument is a position on the opponent of your argument. So I think that Futurama is the greatest animated show that's ever existed. Somebody out there, for some reason, disagrees with me. I need to find a source that supports their argument. Okay, we'll talk more about counter arguments in a different video. So what we're actually doing with this assignment is creating what we call an annotated bibliography. And some might say, not unjustifiably, that these are tedious. What we're doing is looking at our sources and very specifically discussing certain aspects about them and why we want to use them. After we find our sources, we do the CRAP test, and then we do the following critical elements. Identify your source, including the author, title, and the database or website from which you found it. The second thing we want to do is summarize our source using the template provided. It seems the source is arguing blank. This source is using the evidence to support this argument. So in my example, Futurama is the greatest animated show that ever existed. This source is arguing that Futurama is the greatest source that has ever existed. This source is using this evidence to support the argument. Specific statistics from Nelson surveys. Okay, so what is the source? Summarize what the source is discussing. What is it arguing, and what evidence, statistics, or otherwise that they use to support their argument? The third thing that we are doing here is exploring the credibility and relevance. And what we want to do is explain our rationale for the credibility of the source by providing supporting evidence using the following template. You want to say, personally, I believe that this source is doing a good job or a bad job. Please don't just copy and paste good, bad, good job, bad job. Clearly, you need to choose one of those in supporting its argument because it uses really credible statistics from a wide variety of sources, right? So say you think that the source is doing a good job or a bad job and state why. Then we want to explain the relevance of the source to your argument using the provided templates. I think this source will be very helpful in supporting my argument because, or I will work to refute this counter argument in my essay by. Okay, so remember 2 sources need to be supporting our argument, 1 needs to be supporting a counter argument. So let's take a look at our actual rubric here. Okay, again, we have proficient needs improvement not evident. Once more, needs improvement doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing. It means we did our best, but here's how we can improve. So let's take a look at our critical elements sources. You clearly identify 3 sources, okay? So we need to do this little sort of form for each one of our sources, okay? So do you clearly identify 3 sources selected from the appropriate databases? If you cannot find sources in those databases, please reach out to me so I can give you approval to use alternative ones. Do you summarize each one of those articles and identify the argument and include at least 1 counter argument? 2 sources need to be for our argument, 1 needs to be for a counter argument. Do you explain the credibility of the sources and their relevance to the argument that you are presenting? And again, articulation of response is, are you using good grammar? So that's our annotation assignment. Okay, we're essentially creating an annotated bibliography using a very straightforward template, but if you have any questions at all, do not hesitate to reach out to me. And remember, the general discussion forum is an awesome way to encourage conversations, because if you have a question about this, it's likely that one of our peers has a question as well. Okay, if you have any questions at all, post on there or reach out to me. I'm here to support you. I know that annotating can seem tedious and even a little bit intimidating, but you guys got this. Look at your resources and let's just have a conversation about them. Okay, let me know if you have any questions. You got this.